The 86. The Eloi Nishmas Chana Miriam Bas Rav Chaim. In a nutshell, one is permitted to lie when absolutely necessary to prevent bad feelings between Jews. Never convey information through hints or other means that will result in bad feelings between Jews. For the sake of peace, Kohen Gadol is required to protect his unique level of holiness, while other Kohanim are permitted and even commanded to become Tameh upon the death of a close relative. A Kohen Gadol cannot become Tameh even upon the death of his father and mother. There is one exception to this rule. If a Kohen Gadol comes upon a mitzvah, a corpse that is lying in disgrace with no one available to attend its burial, and only the Kohen can accomplish this sacred task, it is the Kohen Gadol's responsibility to bury the mace, and in the process become Tameh. Yes, safeguarding the Kohen Gadol's sanctity is very important, but attending to the burial of a corpse lying in disgrace is even more important. In a similar sense, speaking the truth and nothing but the truth is crucial to the Torah concept. Distance yourself from falsehood is how the Torah expresses it. And our sages teach the seal of Kadosh Baruch Hu is truth. Yet there are certain situations when the Allah requires that we not tell the truth. This is when we need to say an untruth for the sake of maintaining peace. It is the greatest receptacle for earning Hashem's blessing. If speaking the truth will lead to ill will and possibly a fight, then it is preferable that we not speak the truth. Thus, the Chafetz Chaim states regarding how to respond to someone who asks, "What did he say about me?" It is best, where possible, to respond in a way that is neither rechilus nor an outright lie. However, if one realizes that such a response will not be accepted, the person will assume the worst and ill feelings will result, then it is permissible to lie for the sake of peace. However, one should not swear, God forbid. It is forbidden to relate what was said without mentioning names. If the listener will be able to deduce on his own who the person is, similarly, if someone already knows that something uncomplimentary was said about him, but he does not know who said it, it is forbidden to even hint to him to indicate the person's identity. From all of the above, we see how utterly crucial it is that we avoid speaking rechilus in any case at all, except for constructive purpose, as will be discussed in forthcoming classes. One is permitted to lie when absolutely necessary to prevent bad feelings between Jews. Never convey information through hints or other means that will result in bad feelings between Jews. Day 87. Never say anything that can reawaken bad feelings which the listener once felt towards the subject. Never tell a merchant that someone maligned his merchandise. Rekindling old feuds. Pinchas Kornstein and Label Bernfeld were at it again. This time, the fight erupted over who would lead the congregation for Shacharis on the Shabbos when both men had yortzeit. In the end, the Rav ruled that Mr. Kornstein should be chazan, since he had yortzeit for his father, while Mr. Bernfeld was observing his grandfather's yortzeit. Mr. Bernfeld had no choice but to step aside as he simmered inwardly. A few weeks later, on the morning of Shabbos Chanukah, Mr. Bernfeld met Chaim Landau on his way to shul. Mr. Bernfeld suddenly recalled an incident that had occurred 10 years earlier. The shul caterer erred mistakenly and allowed both Mr. Kornstein and Mr. Landau to book the Simcha Hall for their sons' bar mitzvahs on Shabbos Chanukah. The Rav sided with Mr. Kornstein, and Mr. Landau had to postpone his celebration for the following Shabbos. For weeks afterwards, Mr. Landau refused to even speak to Mr. Kornstein. However, as time passed, the two became friends again, much to Mr. Bernfeld's dismay. Now, 10 years later, an angry Label Barenfeld was eager to stir up trouble against his enemy Pinchas Kornstein. In as casual a manner as he could muster, he said to Chaim Landau, "Chaim, when I think of Shabbos Hanukkah, you know what comes to my mind. The bar mitzvah you made 10 years ago. I don't even remember who the other party was, but I do remember that there was a problem with a double booking, and in the end you had to postpone the bar mitzvah, though the invitations had already gone out. Every time I think about it, I still feel bad for your son. Mr. Barenfeld is guilty of rechilas by way of deception. Without saying anything nasty outright, he has reminded Mr. Landau of an incident that caused a fight between himself and Mr. Kornstein. Though Mr. Barenfeld did not mention Mr. Kornstein by name and claimed that he could not recall the name, Mr. Landau was sure to remember who the other party was. Reminding Mr. Landau of this might reawaken within him the anger he felt toward Mr. Kornstein at the time, and possibly could lead to an eruption of